The gnarled branches clawed at the sky, skeletal fingers against the bruised twilight. A chill, deeper than the autumn air, seeped into my bones as I pushed deeper into the Blackwood. They called it that for a reason. Sunlight dared not penetrate its dense canopy, and the air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and something else. Something acrid and indefinable, like decay and fear mingled. I was a fool, of course. Everyone in Hollow Creek knew better than to venture into the Blackwood after dark. Old Man Hemlock had disappeared in there 50 years ago, and his screams, they said, still echoed on the wind some nights. But I was a writer, a purveyor of the macabre, and I needed inspiration. I needed the raw, unfiltered terror that only a place like this could provide. My flashlight beam danced nervously through the trees, picking out twisted shapes that seemed to shift and writhe in the periphery. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent a jolt of adrenaline through me. I told myself it was just my imagination, the product of campfire stories and local legends, but a prickling unease crawled up my spine, whispering that I was being watched. Deeper I went, lured by a morbid curiosity. The trees grew taller, their branches intertwining to form a suffocating ceiling. The air grew colder, the silence more profound. It was a silence that pressed on my eardrums, a silence that hummed with an unseen energy. Then I saw it. A flicker of movement at the edge of my light beam. Something pale, fleeting, gone in an instant. I stopped, heart hammering against my ribs. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling slightly. Only the silence answered. I pressed on, telling myself it was just an animal. A deer, maybe, or an owl. But I knew, deep down, that it was something else. Something ancient and malevolent. The feeling of being watched intensified. I could feel eyes on me burning into my back. I spun around, flashlight beam sweeping the darkness, but saw nothing. Just the trees, their shadows stretching long and distorted, like grotesque figures reaching out to grab me. Then I heard it. A low, guttural growl that seemed to emanate from the very earth beneath my feet. It vibrated through my bones, a primal sound that spoke of hunger and rage. My breath hitched in my throat. I knew then that I had made a terrible mistake. I should have stayed in Hollow Creek, safe in my warm house, surrounded by the familiar sounds of civilization. But now, I was trapped. Trapped in the Blackwood with whatever lurked within its depths. The growl came again, closer this time. I swung my flashlight wildly, trying to pierce the darkness, but the beam seemed to be swallowed by the oppressive shadows. I could see nothing, but I could feel its presence, a heavy, suffocating weight that pressed down on me, stealing my breath. And then I saw it again. This time it wasn't a flicker. It was there, in the shadows, just beyond the edge of my light. Two glowing red eyes, burning like embers in the darkness. They were fixed on me, filled with a cold, predatory hunger. I stumbled back, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. The growl intensified, and I could hear the snapping of twigs as whatever it was moved closer. I turned and ran. I didn't look back. I just ran, my feet pounding against the forest floor, branches whipping at my face. The growl followed me, getting closer and closer. I could hear its heavy breathing, ragged and wet, like something struggling to draw air. I burst through a thicket of thorns, my clothes ripped and my skin bleeding. I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. I knew that if I did, it would catch me. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs screamed in protest. I ran until I thought I couldn't run anymore. And then, finally, I stumbled out of the trees and into the faint glow of the town lights. I collapsed onto the road, gasping for air, my body trembling uncontrollably. I looked back at the Blackwood, its dark silhouette looming against the sky. The red eyes were gone, but I knew they were still there, watching me, waiting for me to return. I lay there for a long time, trying to catch my breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I told myself it was just my imagination, that I had let the stories get to me. But I knew the truth. I had seen something in the Blackwood, something ancient and evil. I finally managed to get to my feet and stumbled back to my car. I drove back to Hollow Creek, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I didn't look back at the Blackwood. I didn't want to see those red eyes again. I got back to my house and locked the door behind me. I went straight to bed, but I couldn't sleep. I lay there in the darkness, listening to every creak and groan of the old house. I kept thinking about those red eyes burning in the darkness. I knew I couldn't stay in Hollow Creek. I had to leave. I had to get away from the Blackwood. The next morning, I packed my bags and left. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just drove away, as fast as I could. I ended up in a small town hundreds of miles away. I got a job as a librarian and tried to forget about what had happened in the Blackwood. But I couldn't forget. Every night I had nightmares about the red eyes, about the guttural growl, about the feeling of being watched. I knew that whatever I had seen in the Blackwood was still out there, waiting for me. Years passed. I tried to build a new life, but the fear never truly left me. I avoided forests, avoided the dark. I lived in constant dread, waiting for the day when whatever I had encountered in the Blackwood would find me again. One day I received a package in the mail. It was a small wooden box wrapped in brown paper. I didn't recognize the return address. I opened the box cautiously. Inside I found a single object, a gnarled, twisted branch covered in black, oily sap. It was a branch from one of the trees in the Blackwood. My blood ran cold. I knew then that it had found me. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in my living room clutching a heavy poker, waiting. I knew it was coming. And then, I heard it. A soft scratching at the window. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The scratching came again, louder this time. I crept to the window and peered through the curtains. Standing in the moonlight, just outside my window, was it. It was tall and gaunt, its skin stretched taut over its bones. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness, burning with a malevolent light. Its mouth was a gaping maw, filled with sharp, pointed teeth. Its hands were long and clawed, like the branches of a dead tree. It raised one of its clawed hands and scratched at the window again. I screamed. I dropped the poker and ran. I ran out the back door and into the night. I didn't know where I was going. I just ran, trying to escape the creature that was hunting me. I ran until I collapsed on the ground, gasping for air. I looked back, but it wasn't there. I thought I had escaped, but I was wrong. As I lay there on the ground, I saw something move in the shadows. Something tall and gaunt, with glowing red eyes. It was coming for me. I closed my eyes, waiting for the end. But the end never came. Instead, I heard a whisper in my ear. "You're not safe anywhere," it hissed. I opened my eyes and saw that it was gone. I knew then that I would never be safe. It would always be there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for me. I am still running. I am running from the Blackwood, from the creature that hunts within its depths. I don't know if I will ever escape, but I will keep running. Because if I stop, it will find me. And when it finds me, I know what awaits. A fate worse than death. A fate that echoes through the trees of the Blackwood. A testament to the terror that dwells within.